Welcome to The Issue Is. I'm Elex Michaelson, reporting this week from Pacific Palisades. You see this burned out American flag in front of this home, which is completely gone. All around us, destruction. Governor Newsom has come here for a briefing with the FEMA administrator and to check out the damage and to talk exclusively with us.
Please, is anyone else seeing this?
Then, one-on-one with Bill Maher on the future of the Democratic Party and his latest stand-up special.
Broadcasting across California, you're watching The Issue Is.
Governor Newsom, good to see you. Not great to see you under these circumstances. As you stand here, look around, what goes through your mind?
Well, just a complete and utter devastation. Memories, mementos, traditions, all of it gone. I mean, it's overwhelming, and respectfully, from someone that's been to a lot of these. I mean, Tubbs Fire, I thought I'd never seen anything like that. 5,600 structures destroyed, and then of course Camp, 18,000, 85 lives lost. But the scale of this, the scope, and the fact that we have 5 active fires we're battling now is just extraordinary.
Rebuilding, not going to be easy. We know building housing in California is not always easy. Yep. Is there red tape that you can cut through to make rebuilding here move faster? If so, what specifically is that going to look like?
We're looking at a series of executive orders. We're looking at a series of legislative pathways to absolutely focus and streamline all of that and really target. I want to do it statewide, of course. I've been working on this for years, 42 secret reforms. We've got to do more. But right now, it's focusing on the rebuild and recovery. Of course, a big part of that is prepping the site, getting all the debris removal done, dealing with the hazardous waste, getting that done as quickly as possible, getting those contracts in order. At the same time, simultaneous getting the individual assistance, the small business loans and the like moving. At the same time we're doing that, we're already working now on executive orders and working with the legislative leadership. I was just talking about legislative leaders on how we move to streamline that entire process. By the way, that includes some of the Coastal Commission work, particularly out here on the coast, where it's obvious that's going to be a huge issue too.
I mean, so what specifically does that look like?
We're working through old strategies that we did up in Paradise. These are more contemporary strategies of focusing on one-stop shopping, making sure that we have an expedited approval process. We'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
And in terms of insurance, are you think that what the state has right now is adequate to deal with this situation? And if not, what specifically needs to change when it comes to insurance?
Well, we haven't even had a chance to get in and do the assessment, so we have to do the assessment. So that's number one, and then we'll be able to answer that question. But the scale and scope and the value of these homes is off the charts. So it's profound. The FAIR Plan has a reinsurance component. The FAIR Plan has a component of a requirement as it relates to how it's pooled that shares with other people that are in the market, that they have a responsibility as it relates to anything that goes above and beyond the reinsurance. So we obviously are stress testing that, and not just the insurance commissioner. We had a team 2 days ago already working on this, but we have to assess the actual value. There's been wild estimates up to $57 billion, but on the basis of what? That's the basis of some aerial assessments, not a real detailed understanding of what's happened on the ground.
I mean, do you have a sort of an idea of what this is all going to cost?
Everybody has got No one does. I mean, it's literally, when you see a number like that, it's wild speculation. It's astronomical. It's unprecedented. That's not a numeric, but there can't be a numeric until you get the teams on the ground. Right now, we're still fighting, again, 5 active fires.
You put out a letter to DWP asking, how is it that there was no water to fight this fire in certain places? We were here, and basically these places just burned and there was nothing that could be done. Yeah. Does the state have any responsibility in that? Is there more the state can do to make sure it doesn't happen again?
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what the letter's about. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's be transparent. Let's move this forward quickly. DWP and the city and the oversight as it relates to the Met, and we want to make sure that all that information is made real time and in public. I'm not interested in the finger point. I want to know what the hell happened, and would it have mattered? I mean, let's be honest about it here. I've talked to all my experts, all the firefighters I've been with. They said we could add an engine on every house in 90-mile-an-hour winds. with all the pressure in the world. So you got to be realistic about that as well, but still doesn't make it right. And I want to know when went wrong so it doesn't happen again.
But when you saw those images, I mean, that outraged so many folks.
I didn't see the images. I was there.
Right.
I was right on the line. I was here within a couple hours of the incident. So we saw it firsthand. We were getting the feedback in real time. Yeah, I mean, look, these systems obviously were not designed for a catastrophic event of this scale and magnitude. So the question is, they need to be designed in this new world reality, where we're in the middle of January, it's 70 degrees out. You get hurricane force winds up to 100 miles an hour, extended over a period of time. That's reality. So you got to prepare for that new reality. There's a deviation of normalcy now as it relates to what's happened with this climate, and we've got to own up to that.
I was the pool reporter with you back in 2018 after the Woolsey fire when you came and visited with President Trump and then Governor Brown. I know you just put out a letter asking President-elect Trump to come here. What's your main message to him?
I'd like the President of the United States, at least the President-elect, to come and visit. The people out here, his lives have been completely torn apart. I want him to visit and understand the magnitude of this scope, what happened to the American people that happen to reside here in California. And it's with an open hand, not a closed fist. And I'm not interested in politicizing an event like this. I don't like the banality of it. I don't like the inhumanity of that. I would like people to focus on a collaboration between the executive in Washington, D.C. and in the state of California to help rebuild a community that's been completely ravaged.
We know we've seen some public back and forth, but have you two talked about this?
No. And I think we have all the evidence in the world that bears fruit to the notion that we're not naive to prepare for a different reality, a radically different reality compared to what we just experienced in the last few days. Mm-hmm. You had a major disaster declaration that was done within 36 hours of this fire, which is extraordinary and unprecedented. You had 100% commitment on reimbursement for folks. You got a president that's just today is trying to figure out loose ends as it relates to significant work we do on infrastructure and parks and playgrounds and schools, and that will be an announcement we hope we can make in a matter of hours. I'm not interested in the theater of political consternation. That's what he's interested in. And I think it's pretty shameful, personally, but it shouldn't extend beyond this. I want to turn the page. I think everyone does.
And just lastly on that, I know President Biden is trying to set this up where we get funding for the next 6 months. Are you concerned that President-elect Trump may try to stop that?
Well, you should be. We all should be. It passed its prologue. So let's do everything in our power to avoid that. I mean, it's the idea that you had to ask that question, and I'm giving you a straight answer, and the answer is we should be concerned. It's obvious to anyone. So that's why we want to come out here. Do the right thing. I just want to move on. This is an emergency.
Governor Newsom, thank you so much for the time. Thanks
you
for being here.
Thank you.
Up next, one-on-one with comedian Bill Maher. How does your audience react to your sex jokes compared to your politics jokes?
Well, I mean, we can all, I think, feel that we can come together, and no pun intended.
Donald Trump. He's Jesus in reverse. Other people die for his sins.
Bill Maher's latest stand-up special debuts on HBO and streaming on Max. It's called, Is Anybody Else Seeing This? We sat down with the host of Real Time with Bill Maher this week, right before the big fires broke out in Los Angeles.
Bill, welcome back to The Issue Is. Congratulations on the stand-up special. Is anyone else seeing this? It's really great.
Oh,
I loved it.
If Thomas Jefferson was alive, he would have two questions. One, Hamilton gets a musical before me.
And it seemed like you were talking to the normies, the people that you call sort of in the middle, not the extremes on the left and the right, and saying to them, are you seeing this too? What was the bottom line message you want them to take from this?
I think you got it. You know, I think I say it there, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it everywhere. I'm just tired of the hate in this country. I'm tired of extremists just controlling the debate, even though they are not a majority of the country. I don't want to hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country. And too many people are locked into that paradigm, and I've just had it. And, you know, we have a new administration coming in. I'm not going to pre-hate anything. I didn't vote for him. Mm-hmm. I would never vote for him. You know, I'm curious to see what it's like to have Donald Trump as president. Oh, wait, we already did? Sorry. I just got some information. Well, maybe it'll be better this time. But who knows? You know, I don't know. So I'm not going to go nuts. First thing I say in this special is he won the White House. He's not going to win my mind this time, you know. Every time he does something crazy, I was just looking at my phone. He's talking about annexing Canada. And invading Greenland and the Panama Canal. I'm just not going to do it this time. Like, when he does it, yes, I'll get upset. But every time, he's a talker, and he's a dangerous person who doesn't concede elections. You know, that's my biggest issue with him, although I certainly have many.
I mean, so how do you balance that? Because you talked about on Club Random, the idea, you joked that you might quit Real Time if he wins again. Obviously, that was a joke. It got taken out of context by a lot of people. How do you make him interesting? How do you go about covering him on your show?
Well, I mean, first of all, there's different elements of my show. He's great for the monologue. Monologue is about jokes of the week. And he's always doing something every week that is comedy friendly. So he's going to annex Canada, great. I love to see what my writers, you know, they do most of the writing of the monologue. I do most of the writing for the end of the show, the editorial, which is a little more serious, but still has lots of laughs. Of course, they contribute a lot to that too. But that's something where I'm trying to make a point. That's the book you're holding there that I put out last year. What this comedian said will shock you. Those are a collection of those endings that we kind of refurbished for the book. As far as the comedy element and chasing him after that, yes, what I was saying that day was, I did it all.
Right.
And I feel like I did it before anybody. I was the one who said he was never going to leave when they were all laughing at me for that, and he didn't leave. And I've done those editorials. He's a con man. He's a mafia boss. He is. And he's all those things. Mm-hmm. He makes fun of the handicapped. He said John McCain wasn't a war hero. You know, I could just go on and on. And you know, the difference I have with some of the people on the left is they think, you know, if you get it about Trump being pretty much everything terrible about a human being stuffed into one man, you also have to hate all the people who vote for him. And I just don't agree with that. I get it about Donald Trump, but, you know, it's half the country. It's more than half the country now.
Yeah.
He did win. And I get why. I get why he won and why people are frustrated and what they don't like about the left. As I said on our last show of the season, you know, the Democrats, you lost a crazy contest to a crazy person.
Right.
Congratulations.
How does this maybe make you think differently about the electorate? The fact that he did win and won all of the battleground states.
Well, it told us a lot about the electorate and a lot about the Democratic Party and what they've been doing wrong. They're very concerned with issues that the people are a little beyond. And that's what the message of the electorate was, you know, that the Democrats are all for the oppressed. And what the electorate was saying was, you know what's oppressing me? The price of eggs. Mm-hmm. Okay? Right. That's what's oppressing me. Are there still racists in this country? Of course. Is that still an issue? Yes, it is. But the Democrats have to come to Jesus on that issue and a number of issues where obviously the fact that Donald Trump won more minority votes than I think any Republican since Nixon or before, that should tell you a lot. It's more about class now. And when they get on that page, when they have someone who comes up to I always say, let's live in the year we're living in, I think that party will do better. As of now, I don't see it in the Democratic Party. I see them still digging the hole deeper. But we'll see. I think parties basically want to survive, as all organisms do. But the Democrats could go the way of the Whigs. Mm. You know, parties do die off when they don't adapt. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to happen because I think, again, they do want to live. As they say in Jurassic Park, life finds a way. Yeah. But we'll see. It's up to them.
When we come back, why Bill Maher says his relationship with his audience is the relationship of his life.
Not that I'm saying kids are bad. Kids are important. They assembled my phone.
Speaking of those seasoning, it takes a lot of seasoning to get an hour special done. I mean, 5 minutes of stand-up is tough. To do an hour and have it be that strong.
Hey kids, I have a great idea for you. Since you love Hamas and Hezbollah so much, why don't you next year take your gap year in Iran? No, you're gonna dig it.
Last time we talked to you, when we talked about the book and the editorials, you talked about your process of winnowing down material. What is the process for you of coming up with an hour special? What stays, what doesn't, what message you're trying to convey?
I mean, the hardest problem I had with that one was cutting it. You know, because I had been doing that act on the road for 3 years, and when I do the road, I do at least 90 minutes. And unlike a lot of comedians who are only working with the evergreen material because they don't really get into politics, I'm working with stuff that changes all the time. So I'm always having new elements come into the act. You know, and new people stepping up. I'm always amused when a Republican goes down, if George Bush leaves the White House and the reporters all say, "How will you survive now?" "I don't know. Sarah Palin will step up and help me." And then Lauren Boebert will step up and help me. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene will step up and help me. And some idiots on the left will do it too. There's always new people and new issues. So I'm churning through a lot of material. My problem was getting it down to an hour.
And one thing you talk about that is pretty evergreen is sex.
Yes.
How does your audience react to your sex jokes compared to your politics jokes?
Well, I mean, the first 40 minutes of the show, I feel like, is more about politics and, well, not just politics, but issues, social issues, things that are going on.
Yeah.
And I think for that section of the show, I could have called the show "You'll Never Feel Safe," because if you're on the left, you're not going to feel safe, because I seem to be going in your direction, and then I will straighten it out and tell you why you're wrong too. And the same thing on the right. Because I really think that's where the country is. I think both parties, both sides have a lot to answer for. And then in the last 20 minutes, we talk about my sex life, and we can all be united around that.
Yeah.
And we can all, I think, feel we can come together, no pun intended, on those kind of things, which, and again, that is sort of in the theme of the show, because I do think there's so much that we have in common.
Right.
And at the end of it, I think the last bit I'm talking about is, how do we fix this? Don't talk about politics all the time.
Right.
This is what we never used to do. I remember when I was a kid, my parents had friends who they had an inkling were not of their political bent, but people just didn't go there. It was literally considered impolite to talk about, like, your political views and argue about it, or religion. You know, we're not the same religion, we're not the same political stripe. There's a million other things you can talk about. You don't have to argue on Facebook with the kid who was in your 8th grade chemistry lab about ivermectin, okay? Just stop. Your opinion on everything is not, you don't have to share every gosh darn thing.
We love it.
Think with everybody.
We love it when you share. Last question, real quick.
Yeah.
In this book, one of my favorite things that you said was you talked about your relationship with your audience and how that is the relationship of your life. And you see that on stage in this special. Can you expand upon what you mean by that?
Well, I never got married. I'm done. That's it. Thank you. Never had kids. This is my kids, my show. You know, I mean, occasionally I've had the experience of, going out with someone who, and I never got mad at them when they were just not interested. They're just, women, young women. They're not really interested sometimes in politics, and and at a certain point it kind of petered out because it didn't get too serious. And I would say, well, the show is my kids. Mm-hmm. You didn't want to meet my kids. If you don't want to meet my kids, I can only get so serious with you.
Yeah.
You don't have to be my biggest fan, but you got to want to meet my kids. And that is the relationship of my life. It's one that's been going on for over 30 years on television. I feel very akin to people who are my fans because I think we think pretty much the same way. Again, to get back to what you were getting to at the beginning, we don't want to be extremists, and we want to see everything not through the lens of some ideologically captured group who already has the idea in their mind and they just want someone to confirm what they already believe. That's not what I do. If you want that, there's lots of people who do it, but not me, and I don't think my audience wants that. They want a fresh take, they want an honest take, and even if we disagree, that's okay. That's okay. When I started on Politically Incorrect, they said, this will never work. A talk show host cannot share his opinions. Letterman didn't do it. Carson didn't do it. Leno didn't do it. They play it right. I said, well, let's see. Maybe if you disagree with somebody, they can still be your friend. And it's true, they can.
Well, as somebody who's a huge fan of your
I
work,
appreciate
thank
it.
you so much. I guess I'm one of your kids. I'm not going for a spouse or support or any child support or anything. But thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Keep up the
Always
good
great.
work. Bill Maher,
Great to see
thank you so
Alex.
much.
Thank you.
Up next, we wrap things up with the latest on California's wildfires. Next week on The Issue Is, we will be reporting from Washington in advance of President-elect Trump's inauguration, where we'll be talking with the California delegation about getting federal help for those of us here dealing with wildfires. And as we wrap things up from Pacific Palisades this week, we encourage you, if you can, to donate what you can. American Red Cross, a great place to donate. We put the QR code up on the screen for a direct place to donate. And keep all the folks here in your thoughts and prayers this weekend. It's a harrowing sight, but together we will get through this. I'm Elex Michaelson reporting from Pacific Palisades. We'll see you next week for more of The Issue Is.